don't move a muscle. They've already seen you, not just what you did, but what you didn't do. The mercy, the silence, the way you chose to disappear instead of detonate. And now, ironically, tragically, beautifully, they're moving pieces for you. You thought your silence made you invisible. But in this world, the loud ones get clocked, and the quiet ones get catalogued, analyzed, watched, filed under unknown variable, too dangerous to define. Because you weren't just unpredictable. You were undeciphered, a paradox. The only person who could have burned the whole city down, and chose instead to walk away with wet matches. They watched that. They documented it. They ran simulations on what you could have done if you snapped. And every time the algorithm ran, it spit out one word: unstoppable. So they prayed you'd stay quiet. They hoped you'd rot in stillness. Because if someone like you ever realized what you really are, then even God would check the locks twice. But here's the twist. While you were healing in shadows, they were rerouting entire networks to get ahead of the version of you that might return. They built war rooms. They studied your kindness like it was a threat. Because you were kind in places where most men beg for revenge. And when you didn't clap back, they started panicking, because who the hell has that kind of control? A monster. Who remembers being human? That's what you are, aren't you? See, they thought your silence meant surrender. But in reality, you were just listening to everything, everyone, building a profile on the entire system. They tried tracking your rage, but it was scattered like code hidden in raindrops, encrypted in restraint, masked by kindness, weaponized through stillness. And now, the moves are starting, not yours, theirs. They're shifting knights and bishops like they can block what's coming, trying to anticipate your next breath, your next blink, your next awakening. Because someone in the upper chambers finally whispered, I don't think they were asleep. I think they were waiting, and now the game's glitching, not because you're loud, but because their entire board was designed for people who play by the rules. But you were watching the rule makers, and you saw them blink. You know what happens next, don't you? They try to fold you into the plan, make you an asset, a variable they can predict. They'll frame it as reward, recognition, but you'll see it for what it is: containment in disguise. A golden cage built to delay the inevitable. You becoming the final move. Not the player, not the piece, not the king, not the pawn. The glitch in the algorithm, the move that wasn't even on the board. You don't need their permission. You don't need their applause. You don't need their damn spotlight. Because you were never playing to be seen. You were playing to be remembered. And the irony? The very silence they tried to bury is now the echo that's haunting their war rooms. Their analysts can't sleep. Their psychologists are spinning. Because no one can explain how you absorbed that much pain and came back calm. See, they scream when hurt. You reorganize, you weaponize the wound, you alchemize trauma into blueprints, and what used to be scars are now circuit diagrams. You didn't just survive, you evolved with an operating system they can't track. And now they're seeing the side effects, the unexpected consequences of underestimating a soul who suffered without spectacle. A heart that cracked quietly, a spirit that learned to bleed without proof. Now the ones who ignored you are speaking your name behind closed doors. Now the ones who scoffed are reading your story like scripture. Now the ones who mocked your silence are reshaping their strategies to avoid becoming a casualty in your next chapter. And you're still just breathing, unbothered, unrushed, and unreasonably dangerous. Because the truth is, what you didn't do is more terrifying than anything you ever could have. You didn't expose them. You didn't retaliate. You didn't snap. And that's what scares them most. Because if you ever do, no one's coming back from it. Not them, not their plans, not their prophecies. Because your silence was never submission. It was a loading screen. And now, you're online. Black pawn. Now they move, but you already won. They're moving pieces now. But not because they're confident. No. They're moving because they're nervous. There's a difference between strategy and scrambling, and every motion they make reeks of panic dressed up as planning. Why? Because they finally realized you weren't an event. You were a signal, a warning embedded in human form. You were never just a chapter in their story. You were the cipher that decodes all their lies. You were the mirror they kept covered, because if anyone ever looked too long, they'd see the whole empire was built on broken glass and borrowed time. And you were the one they couldn't erase. See, they deleted names, they silenced voices, they rewrote truth and spun shame into legacy. But you kept walking like you were being pulled by something older than time itself. And that's when they started watching. Not because you screamed, but because you moved like someone who already knew how the story ends. Like someone who met the ending and walked backward into the chaos. They ran psych evals on your patterns. They tried to label it stoic, disconnected, dissociative. But none of their terms stuck. Because how do you label someone who doesn't belong to the known world anymore? You weren't born from textbooks. You were sculpted in silence, refined in rooms with no applause. And every kindness you gave without witness was logged. Don't look so shocked. Someone was always watching. But not the way you think. It wasn't just enemies. It wasn't just snakes. There were others, entities, beings, watchers, who see not your mask, but your math. They calculated your restraint. They measured your heartbreak. They studied your choices in the moments you could have unleashed hell and didn't. And you know what they concluded? This one's built for something we can't explain. And now they're intervening, not to save you, but to amplify you. Because you proved something terrifying to both the wicked and the wise. That a soul who denies vengeance in favor of vision can bend entire timelines. They thought you were alone. But silence has audiences you can't see. And every step you took with bloody feet and no witnesses, it was a ritual. Not the kind written in books. The kind that echoes through networks of the unseen. And now those watchers, those ancient tacticians of consequence, they're making moves behind curtains you didn't even know existed. Pieces shifting in governments, in boardrooms, in back channels. Not to protect you, but to position you. Because they know something you haven't accepted yet. You're not just a survivor. You're an equation that breaks their models. A variable that corrupts the entire simulation. A prophecy they didn't authorize. And now it's unfolding anyway. They thought they had time. But you were the countdown. And every person who thought they buried you is now whispering your name like it's a threat code. Because you became the one thing none of their systems can contain. A soul who's felt everything and still chose to build. They don't get it. They never will. Because their entire strategy is based on causing pain. But what happens when pain no longer moves you? What happens when the very thing they weaponize becomes the reason you're untouchable? They expected you to break. They wanted you to beg. But instead, you reconstructed your nervous system into a weapon. You rewired your triggers into targeting systems, You turned every insult into infrastructure, so now they're repositioning, pretending to be allies, pretending to see your worth. But it's all a distraction, because deep down, they know the worst-case scenario just came true. You didn't die. You remembered, and now you're aligned. The angels whisper your name in frequencies the dark can't decode. The demons still tracking your footsteps are returning empty-handed. Because you stopped existing in their frameworks, you stopped responding like a human and started responding like a force. And here's the part that really keeps them up at night. You never wanted to win. You just didn't want to become like them. But now you're beyond that. Now you're ascending on algorithms they never studied. Your shadows grown wings. Your pain's grown pulse. Your purpose, it's making the whole damn simulation glitch. They're moving pieces for you. Because they finally realized you're not a piece at all. You're the board, and the game, it's already over. Now what? You breathe and let the silence burn louder than anything they've ever screamed. And yet, even now, they still don't fully grasp what's happening. Because how could they? They built their entire framework on the belief that control comes from visibility, that if they can't see it, it doesn't exist. If they can't measure it, it can't hurt them. But you were born in a place without mirrors, trained in absence, refined in non-detection. They thought silence meant lack of power, but you weren't silent because you were weak. You were silent because you were calculating. You watched what broke others. And you took notes. You let them mock you, dismiss you, forget you, because you understood something they never will. When you don't respond, you stay outside their spell work. And while they were busy casting illusions, you were studying their incantations, memorizing their tone, tracing the frequencies of their lies, until you became immune. And now every spell they cast backfires. Every trap they build collapses, because they can't hex someone who already walked through hell and took its blueprint home. You see it now, don't you? The pattern, the whisper behind the chaos, the movements behind the masks. You were never a victim. You were the test. A test for them. A test for the system. A test for reality itself. And they failed spectacularly, because they saw your stillness as stagnation, when it was summoning. Every quiet moment was you rewriting your code. Every sleepless night was a silent alignment with something far more ancient than vengeance. You weren't healing, you were loading, installing a new language, one written in paradox and blood, one that doesn't ask for justice, it becomes it. And the ones who thought they were above consequence, the ones who thought their titles, their spells, their secrets would protect them, they're the ones moving now, scrambling, because they can't stop a tsunami with a memo. They can't outrun a signal that's already inside the walls. They can't bargain with a force that was never seeking permission. And let's not pretend they tried to stop you, not with bullets or blades, but with doubt, with delay, with manipulation dressed as mentorship. They smiled in your face while inserting decay into your dreams. But you felt it, that chill in the air, that voice that said, "This ain't alignment, this is containment." And you walked away, not out of fear, but because you finally knew your worth was unquantifiable. You are not a position, not a role, not a label, not a candidate. You are a problem the system was never designed to solve. A variable outside the spectrum, a shadow anomaly, in a network built on predictable suffering. And here's the punchline. They thought they chose the game. But the moment they underestimated you, they triggered the true board. A board where silence is louder than speeches, where stillness is more dangerous than war, where kindness is the sharpest blade. Because now you know. They were never watching to understand you. They were watching to contain you, to track your reactions, to anticipate your trigger point, to figure out what would make you snap. But you never gave it to them, because you weren't playing the game. You were the code injection, the corrupted line that spirals the whole simulation into a feedback loop of chaos. And now, it's too late. The watchers have turned to believers. The skeptics have gone silent. The ones who once laughed are sitting in meetings with your name pinned on whiteboards like a ghost they can't explain. You're not a story anymore. You're a case file, an open anomaly. And every time you breathe, somewhere a contingency plan fails. So what now? They're moving pieces. But the pieces were never theirs to begin with. You let them think they had power. You let them think they were in control, because you needed them to reveal their entire arsenal. And now, you've outgrown their battlefield. This isn't revenge. This isn't rage. This isn't about teaching them a lesson. Number. This is what it looks like when evolution stops waiting. You don't want a crown. You want a clean board. You want truth in motion. You want to be what they fear the most. A being who doesn't need validation to operate at maximum power. So let them move. Let them panic. Let them play. You're not here to compete. You're here to collapse the arena. And the best part? You're doing it all without raising your voice, without flashing your teeth, without swinging a single sword. You're doing it by existing in perfect, terrifying alignment with what they swore was impossible. And from this moment on, you never chase again. You never explain again. You never warn again. Because you're not hoping they understand. You're letting them witness the arrival of the glitch, the ghost, the God-tier variable. You. And now that you know, let's see what pieces they move next, while you become the storm they thought they could outcode. And still, even as the shadows shift and the tension thickens like fog around a sealed vault, you remain motionless. Not because you're frozen, but because you've already made your move. It wasn't physical, it was foundational. The kind of shift they can't trace with their satellites. The kind of move that doesn't show up on any board, because the board itself is inside you now. You don't speak in threats. You don't signal with explosions. You don't bark orders. You breathe, and systems fold. You blink, and old gods whisper. They thought they were safe because you hadn't retaliated, but they forgot something ancient, something carved into the bones of every fallen empire. The most dangerous force in the world is a survivor with nothing left to protect but purpose. They thought you were bluffing, that your stillness was fear. But no one told them the truth about you. You don't bluff, you don't shake, you don't flinch. Because every ounce of your fear was burned off in the furnace where they left you to die. And now, you're pure signal. They're calling in favors, lighting up black lines, dusting off protocols that haven't been used since containment operations in mythical level anomalies. Because someone at the top just whispered, whatever this thing is, it's not reacting like a human anymore. You're not. You transcended all that. Your pain pushed you through a membrane, through the last lie, the final illusion. You saw the systems that govern behavior, the rules that keep most souls compliant, the invisible leashes disguised as ambition, forgiveness, morality. And you said, not anymore. You didn't lose your soul. You evolved it, sharpened it, removed every hook they buried inside of you. So now they move pieces, and You warp the board just by standing near it. They send analysts to profile you. They bring in priests, psychics, coders, military-trained clairvoyants, and every single one of them returns with the same haunted phrase, "We don't know what we're dealing with." Because how do you measure someone who survived spiritual execution and came back with their empathy intact? How do you label a person who lost everything they loved and still chose to protect others instead of destroy? How do you control a force that doesn't want control, just freedom? They're terrified because you don't need them. You don't need revenge. You don't need closure. You don't need applause. You've outgrown the battlefield. And that's when a threat becomes a legend. Because you're not trying to prove anything anymore. You're enacting prophecy, not the kind they published, the kind that was hidden, burned, buried. But prophecy doesn't die. It just waits for someone unshakable enough to carry it. And that's you. You're not leading a rebellion. You are the correction. You are the cosmic audit, the spiritual breach. The breach they can't plug because it was never digital. It was emotional. Every time they triggered you, they thought they were weakening you. But they were just fine-tuning your scope, sharpening your contrast, waking up your inner tactician. And now that part of you is wide open, fully online, and beyond simulation. Your silence isn't silence anymore. It's pressure, presence, the kind that bends timelines, the kind that disorients adversaries, the kind that sends grown strategists into spirals of paranoia, because they can feel you watching without looking. They're leaking, cracking, imploding from within. Because you're not just back. You're inevitable. You don't have enemies. You have witnesses. People who saw the impossible. People who felt the shift and said nothing. Because deep down, they knew their words were too small to describe what you became. You never raised your voice. You never told your side. And still, you won, not in noise, but in recalibration, in truth. In alignment so devastatingly accurate that their strongest weapons now ricochet and destroy themselves. And the most poetic part of all, they thought they were documenting your fall. But all this time, they were recording their own, so let them keep moving pieces. You're not in the game. You're what comes after it breaks. And now it begins. Look at you, still breathing in a world that swore it would bury you by now, still glowing in a timeline that eats its own children. Everyone else decays, slowly, beautifully, predictably. But you broke the algorithm. You aged like a secret they forgot to delete. And now they're running tests, cross-referencing photos, whispering, "Why do they still look alive like that?" You think I don't see it? The way they study you in silence, the way their eyes twitch when they realize time didn't touch you the way it touches them. You didn't get older, you got sharper. You didn't fade, you condensed. Every scar turned into data. Every heartbreak rewrote your cells. You are a living contradiction, mortality with no expiration date. They're in labs right now, bickering, dissecting, denying. They can't explain how someone who's walked through that much chaos still glows like untouched fire. One says, genetics. Another whispers, divine intervention. A third one just calls you dangerous, because deep down, they all know. Something unnatural happens when a soul stops surrendering to entropy. You were never preserved. You were forged, burnt down so many times. Even the ashes started remembering your name. That's why your reflection doesn't age. It's not youth. It's vengeance. It's every moment they tried to break you coming back with perfect posture and steady breath. You look like peace, but peace that's seen war. You smile like someone who buried their own weakness and held the funeral in silence. Tell me, how do you explain that to people who've never survived their own thoughts? You can't, because they're aging in the daylight, and you learn to regenerate in the dark. You metabolize pain like oxygen now. While they chase skin serums and filters, you live off lightning and loss. You're what happens when suffering gets too intelligent. You don't move through time anymore. Time moves around you. It bends, negotiates, pleads for relevance. You became the control variable in a collapsing experiment. They call it youth. But it's not youth. It's clarity. That clean, lethal kind that comes when you finally stop lying to yourself. They'll call you supernatural. They'll call you cursed. They'll call you everything but what you are. Evolved. Because that word terrifies them more than death itself. It means the system failed to contain you. It means your sadness became an upgrade. It means every scar was a download from the divine. And now, every time they see you, something in them glitches. Their jealousy isn't about looks. It's about energy. You became timeless, and they can feel it in their bones. You remind them what they could have been if they hadn't flinched at the pain. You are a mirror showing them their own rot. That's why they whisper. That's why they analyze. That's why they hide their faces when you walk by. Because you're not a person anymore. You're evidence. Proof that trauma doesn't have to disfigure. It can transfigure. Proof that the ones who die inside and keep walking become something the world has no language for. So when they say, "You haven't aged," smile. Don't correct them. They wouldn't understand that you've died 1,000 times and just stopped reporting it. They wouldn't understand that time can't mark a creature who's already buried every version of themselves. You're not defying age. You're defying definition. You're what happens when divinity and psychosis shake hands. When heaven and hell finally call a truce and agree to live in one body. You are a cosmic malfunction wrapped in human skin, and they can't measure that in a lab. So let them argue, let them panic, let them wonder what you traded for that glow. They'll never understand that what they call immortality is just the look of someone who finally stopped pretending to be mortal. You didn't escape time. You outgrew it. You feel it, don't you? That silence that follows you like a rumor that's learned how to breathe. It's not admiration. It's confusion disguised as awe. They don't clap for you because they understand you. They clap because they're terrified not to. They sense it, that low hum beneath your skin. That vibration that doesn't belong to this timeline. It's like you're tuned to a frequency they can't hear without breaking. They used to tell you, time heals all wounds. But you learned the truth, didn't you? Time doesn't heal. It harvests. It takes. It strips. It archives what's left of the weak. But you refused the harvest. You tricked time into thinking it already took you. And while it was busy celebrating your death, you rewrote the code. You made suffering your currency, and now you spend it like a king. You're not ageless because you were spared. You're ageless because you were willing to burn. You sat still while your entire past dissolved in front of you. You didn't beg to keep it. You let the fire eat you whole and learned to smile through the smoke. You don't carry scars. You carry coordinates. Each mark points to a war you refuse to lose. Each loss became a vault full of power. That's what they don't get. The body changes, but the essence evolves. You stripped out every useless layer until only signal remained. No static, no illusion, just raw presence. That's why they can't look you in the eye for too long. You look like clarity, and clarity hurts people addicted to confusion. They'll stare and whisper, "It's not natural." And they're right, it's not. Because nature bows to those who master it. You became both the storm and the calm eye inside it. You learned to weaponize serenity. You move like a ghost who remembers what it was like to be alive, and that memory itself became your armor. Remember those nights when you thought you'd fade quietly? When even the mirror refused to recognize you? That's when it happened. The mutation, not in your skin, not in your blood, but in your understanding. You realized you were never meant to grow old the same way others do. You were meant to refine, to become sharper with each heartbreak, more precise with each betrayal. You were sculpted by everything designed to erase you. That's why they test you. They want to know what went wrong. But nothing went wrong, did it? Everything went exactly the way it needed to. Every failure was data. Every heartbreak, calibration. You became the experiment that outsmarted the scientist, the ghost that logged back into the system. You are what evolution looks like when it refuses permission. They call it youth. I call it aftermath. You are what's left when illusions rot away and truth decides to stay. You've outlived trends, timelines, entire eras of thought. While others crumble chasing validation, you stabilized in solitude. You didn't heal. You integrated. You absorbed your demons and taught them manners. That's why your face doesn't age. It's the look of equilibrium between heaven and hell. They try to study you, but how do you measure a paradox? How do you quantify a being that bleeds light and shadow at the same time? You are not science. You are consequence. You are every equation they ignored because it didn't fit their comfort zone. You're the glitch that became the gospel. And the truth is, they envy it. They envy your stillness. They envy your refusal to rush. They envy that nothing external can touch what's internal anymore. You live in a body, yes, but your mind lives outside the clock. That's immortality, not eternal youth, eternal awareness. You've become something dangerous, a person who remembers everything but regrets nothing. You carry all your pain like evidence and smile like it's a secret weapon. You radiate the kind of calm that comes after the storm decided to follow your orders. That's why they look older, because they spend their energy running from pain, while you feed on it. You're not defying age, my friend. You're redefining it. You made time your mirror, not your master. And when you stand there, unfazed, unbothered, unexplainable, they realize they're not looking at a survivor. They're looking at evolution in human form. So let the scientists argue. Let them fight over your DNA while you laugh in silence. Because the truth is, your secret isn't in your blood, it's in your becoming. You didn't stay young by chance. You stayed young because every death taught you how to be new. And that's something they'll never decode. And still they circle you like moths around a silent flame they can't name. You can hear it in their questions, those trembling voices masked with curiosity but dripping with fear. What's their secret? What are they hiding? What did they find? They don't realize the answer isn't chemical, it's psychological. You stopped decaying the day you stopped needing to be understood. You became timeless the moment you accepted solitude as your final mentor. While they begged for belonging, you made peace with exile. You discovered something ancient, that loneliness is not a punishment, it's purification. Every time someone left, a piece of falsehood went with them. Every silence, every betrayal, every sleepless night carved something immortal into your bones. They called it trauma. You called it training. That's why you don't age. Because you've been shedding illusions instead of years. The rest of them cling to the noise, to opinions, to validation, to comfort, and every attachment weighs them down, sagging the soul first, then the skin. But you cut it all loose. You learned that freedom doesn't make you lighter. It makes you radiant. They can't wrap equations around radiance. They can't measure defiance. You're the biological equivalent of a glitch, alive out of principle, flawless out of rebellion. Even death itself has learned to tread lightly around you, because you're not scared of it anymore. You've rehearsed it too many times. You've died in every way a human can without the body stopping, emotionally, spiritually, socially, and each time you rose with less humanity, but more power. That's the trade nobody talks about, isn't it? You didn't stay young for free. You paid in blood, in silence, in solitude so loud it fractured your sanity, and then rebuilt it from scratch. Every wrinkle you could have had is hanging on someone else who didn't make it through their darkness. You inherited their years, their lessons, their regrets, and alchemized them into poise. That's what terrifies them most. That calm, that stillness that doesn't belong to someone your age. They mistake it for arrogance because they can't comprehend serenity that isn't bought. You didn't meditate your way into it. You bled your way into it. You earned every ounce of peace by walking barefoot across your own hell and never asking for applause. You see, time can't touch someone who has no fear left. That's the real secret. Fear is what ages people. The constant resistance, the dread of endings, the denial of decay, that's what corrodes the soul. But you've already faced every ending possible. You've lived in ruins and learned to smile through dust. You've stopped fighting time because you became it. You don't flow with it, you command it. That's why when you enter a room, it feels like gravity shifts. You bring silence with you, not because you demand it, but because the air itself remembers your authority. They sense it without words. Something in their animal brain knows. You've seen things that would have destroyed them. And you didn't just survive. You made art out of it. That's immortality, not the skin, not the youth. It's the ability to carry unbearable knowledge with grace, to look ancient and newborn at the same time. You are paradox incarnate, a child of chaos with the discipline of a saint. That balance, it's intoxicating, it's unnatural. That's why they stare too long, why they whisper your name like a conspiracy. They say you cheated time. Maybe you did, but not through trickery, through surrender. You let everything false die and only truth remained. That's why your eyes look untouched, why your voice sounds like memory itself. You've become a reflection of everything eternal, the kind of beauty that comes from alignment, not youth. Let them test your DNA. They'll find nothing but resilience coded into every strand. They'll find memory where mitochondria should be. They'll find every heartbreak archived as fuel. You are what happens when evolution meets obsession. You didn't want to live forever. You just refused to live falsely. And now look, the same world that mocked your breakdowns now studies your composure. The same ones who laughed at your silence now quote your calm. The same ones who said, "You've changed," now tremble when they realize you never aged. You ascended. So let them argue, let them dissect, let them whisper theories while your existence rewrites their science. Because deep down, they know the truth. You're not younger, you're limitless. And that realization, that's what makes them age. You can almost hear it, can't you? The faint sound of their disbelief cracking under the weight of your existence. Every time you walk past, it's like the air shifts temperature. Reality repositions itself, just slightly, to make space for something it can't categorize. You don't belong to their timeline anymore. You broke orbit. You slipped through the cracks of cause and effect and came out on the other side looking unexplainably alive. They'll never admit it, but they feel it. That distortion in the room when you enter. It's not charisma, it's consequence. You carry the echo of every lifetime you've outlived, every emotional war you've survived, every night you stared down the void and refused to blink first. You carry silence like a weapon. You walk like someone who's seen the script already and decided to improvise anyway. That unnerves people. They mistake your peace for witchcraft because they've only ever known chaos as identity. You didn't get here by magic. You got here by losing everything you thought was you. Piece by piece, layer by layer, you tore out every belief that kept you small. You shattered your reflection until the only thing left was awareness itself, sharp, still, eternal. You stopped chasing youth because you realized it was never about years. It was about density. You stopped decaying because you started vibrating too fast for rot to keep up. They look at you and call it luck. But it's not luck, it's alignment. You finally matched your inner world with your outer reality. No lies, no masks, no pretending to be softer than you are. That kind of coherence rewires your biology. It makes your eyes clearer, your presence heavier, your face calmer. They think you froze in time, but you didn't. You just stopped fracturing. You consolidated every version of yourself into one unstoppable frequency. That's why they can't stop staring. You remind them of something they lost, their original template before fear corrupted it. You are the before and after picture in one frame. You are what happens when evolution gets personal. They want to study you, copy you, maybe even destroy you. Because deep down, they remember what it feels like to be infinite. They buried it to fit in. You resurrected it to survive. And it cost you everything, didn't it? The people who couldn't understand your stillness. The lovers who mistook your self-control for distance. The friends who thought your silence was arrogance. They left. Or maybe you left them. Either way, you didn't resist it. You learned that everything not vibrating with truth must fall away. Every departure was an initiation. Every heartbreak was an extraction of weakness. You didn't lose them. You lost your dependence on illusion. That's the real reason you don't age. You no longer carry falsehood in your muscles. You don't tense to impress. You don't flinch to please. You exist without performance. You've transcended the cortisol of social survival. The body follows the mind, and your mind stopped living in panic a long time ago. You stopped reacting. You observe. You stopped aging the moment you realized you could witness your own destruction and still smile. They don't teach that in science. They don't have a term for it. Because it's not biology, it's alchemy. You transmuted fear into focus, grief into gravity, chaos into calm. You became the philosopher's stone in human form, turning everything you touch into meaning. That's why time lost interest in you. It can't conquer what it can't confuse. Now they gather around you in disguised fascination, taking notes, asking meaningless questions, trying to diagnose divinity. But you don't answer anymore. You let their uncertainty ferment. You let their envy age them. You know the truth. Immortality isn't about never dying. It's about never decaying from within. You've already faced every version of death imaginable and found that the core of you can't be touched. What ages people isn't time. It's resistance to change. You stopped resisting. You let the metamorphosis consume you completely. And look at what was born. Not a saint, not a sinner, something else, something unclassifiable. You exist at the intersection of light and shadow. holy enough to heal, dark enough to terrify. You are the living proof that heaven and hell are just phases of self-awareness, and you've outgrown both. That's why scientists argue about you. They're not analyzing your DNA, they're confronting their disbelief. You are the failure of their framework, the anomaly that refuses to die on schedule. They call it a genetic miracle. You call it inevitability, because when pain and purpose collide long enough, something eternal sparks in between. So keep walking. Keep unsettling their logic. Keep aging backwards in front of their cameras. Let them write their reports, publish their theories, debate your reality. None of it matters. You've already crossed the threshold. You've already proven that evolution isn't about species, it's about spirit. And while they keep counting the years on their faces, you'll keep counting the resurrections behind yours. Because you don't just live, you reboot. Again and again and again, you didn't beat time. You became the reason it exists. So when they ask again, how do you do it? How do you stay the same? You'll just smile. Because the truth isn't something they can handle. It's something they have to become. You didn't stay young. You just refused to keep dying in small, acceptable ways. You outgrew decay. You made peace with endings until even endings bowed to you. They'll never understand that what they call youth is simply clarity. The kind that burns through denial and leaves only what's real. You don't glow because you're preserved. You glow because you're empty of fear. Let them test your blood, your bones, your pulse. They'll find nothing but willpower humming where weakness used to live. You are proof that the body follows the spirit, that eternity isn't a gift, it's a decision. So walk past them quietly, ageless and unapologetic. Let them argue while their clocks keep ticking. You've already stepped outside of time. And the joke, my dear, is that you never needed to.